guys. So for class today we are asked to discuss media bias. The definition of media bias is the intentional or unintentional slanting of news reporting toward one side due to the political views or cultural beliefs of journalists, producers, or owners of a media outlet. We are asked to find two examples of media bias and identify the type of bias that best represents. The first example I came across was an article titled "Textbook Example of Media Bias" at the New York Times. Basically, they uploaded an article discussing the edited Mother Jones secret video of Mitt Romney speaking at a fundraiser back in May. They uploaded one article initially, but then deleted it minutes later and replaced it with a very left-wing version. The original was republished once it was posted, since many websites republish articles from the New York Times immediately, so unfortunately the article was never truly deleted. The original article contains this paragraph. Romney told reporters Monday night that his remarks were not elegantly stated and were spoken off the cuff, but he says Obama's approach is attractive to people who are not paying taxes. In the article that they basically updated, the new paragraph reads like this. Mr. Romney addressed the video somewhat awkwardly at a fundraiser Monday night in Costa Mesa, California, summoning reporters with a few moments' notice to walk through the Segstrom Center for the Arts, which was filled with guests sipping drinks at tables elegantly draped in blue cloths. Another example was that the original article stated, Jim Messina, Obama's campaign manager, said in a statement Monday evening that it was shocking that Romney would go behind closed doors to describe nearly half of the country in such terms. But the new version changed that paragraph to, Mr. Romney, who has been under fire for releasing only 2 years of his tax returns, was quickly attacked by the Obama campaign. Jim Messina, Mr. Obama's campaign manager, said in a statement Monday evening that it was shocking that Mr. Romney would go behind closed doors to describe nearly half of the country in such terms. In both examples, the first paragraph simply just states facts. In the second, it either makes Romney sound like a not-so-great person, or even mentions topics that weren't even relevant to the initial story, but they still make Romney not look good. The original apparently read as a news story, while the edited version is committed to just attacking Romney and trying to get people to vote for Obama. This would be an example of partisan bias, which is defined as when a cause is deliberately promoted, usually a recommendation of who to vote for or an endorsement of a cause. It has become clear that this cause was deliberately promoted since they deleted their original article, which was blatant facts, and twisted it into a story that clearly supported Obama. Another example of media bias comes from the article, The Top 50 Liberal Media Bias Examples. The story I decided to pick is about the media falsely reporting Bush loss in Florida back in 2000. Basically, as everyone was voting for president in 2000, the voting was still going on in Florida, but several networks had reported that Bush had already lost Florida, even though the polls did not close yet. According to some, this cost Bush nearly 10,000 votes, since a lot of voters who would have voted for Bush stayed home, imagining that Bush had already lost and didn't see a point to go vote. If the networks had not made this false announcement, the closed vote in Florida would not have happened, and Bush would have beaten Gore by a long shot. I believe this would also be an example of partisan bias, since they deliberately promoted Gore by lying about Bush's loss. It could also slightly resemble unwitting bias, which is when hard choices have to be made about what stories to include and which stories to exclude. Because during the times of elections, the media has to make a lot of tough choices as to what to cover and what not to cover. They usually always have to pick stories that are more about the election rather than anything else. And on top of that, they have to make choices about what about the election to cover.